Any moment now, the Federal Reserve will announce its first interest rate decision since President Trump. And in fact, I just heard word from our EP, Adam, who says no rate cut. So that means the base interest rate is between 4.25% and 4.5%. Remember, the Fed began a flurry of cuts that started in September of 2024. This helped trim borrowing costs for credit cards, for home equity lines of credit and other debt amid high inflation. But today, the news, no cut. So for more on today's meeting, CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger joins me here in Studio 57. I mean, this was widely expected.
Oh, yeah, they telegraphed this. And so we know that after every Fed meeting, there's this period where the officials go out and they give interviews. And what we've known is that they are really looking at their two jobs and trying to weigh those two jobs. What are those two jobs? One is they want to push down the inflation rate. This is called price stability. And, you know, sure, we've made great progress. We've gone from 9% inflation to 3% inflation. But to get from 3 to the Fed's target of 2, that's been a little bit stubborn. And then the other part of the Fed's job is to make sure the economy is strong enough to produce jobs. And we know the economy has actually withstood these higher interest rates and grown, and the labor market appears to be pretty solid. So at this meeting, I think the Fed said, wait a second, we can take a pause. We want to see if that inflation rate will come down by more before we start cutting rates again. So that's what you get. You get a decision of we're pausing. They're not saying it's over. We're pausing.
So the last meeting they had, Jerome Powell made news by saying, look, instead of 4 cuts in 2025, we're probably looking at 2. Do you expect that that is still the case?
I don't expect anything when it comes to those Federal Reserve economic predictions. So every other meeting, they'll release their summary of economic predictions, okay? They're terrible at predicting the near term. And I don't say this begrudgingly. They've got a staff of a bazillion economists. They're incredibly smart, way smarter than I am. But if you look at their record...
But they still get it wrong.
Yeah, but because there are a lot of cross currents in the economy. So what they are saying is we believe, we think, we hope that we'll be able to cut rates by a certain amount. So now in 2025, they think they're going to get 2 more quarter-point drops. That is data dependent. So if something were to change, if all of a sudden the inflation rate started going up again, they're not going to cut again. So they are reactive to the data, but they are very bad at predicting near-term economic trends.
Can you help me understand, and we're going to go back to 101 here a little bit, why keeping the rate steady for both this decision and for potentially many more decisions to come would help bring that inflation rate closer to 2%?
This is like sort of old economic theory, which sometimes it doesn't play out the same way. But here's how it goes. If we keep the cost of borrowing elevated, interest rates are higher, then people and businesses will borrow less. When they borrow less, they'll spend less. When the economy slows down a little bit, that helps bring down the inflation rate. So higher interest rates can lead to lower economic growth, lower inflation. Hasn't exactly worked out that way because we've had high interest rates now since the Fed began raising interest rates. It hasn't really dented economic growth. In some respects, the high level of interest rates that we've seen has confounded not just the Fed, but economists. They're saying, we thought we were going to go into a recession. Remember, in the beginning of 2023, economists said, oh, this is going to be a recession. There hasn't been a recession. We've seen job growth. And this could be an outgrowth of this strange post-COVID economy where so many economic rules of thumb were sort of upended.
And wages are relatively keeping pace now with inflation, but people still say in surveys, et cetera, that they feel like they're not feeling it.
We are human beings. Breaking news. Human beings. And
speak for yourself.
Exactly. And so what that means is we are very influenced by how we feel about the day-to-day encounters in the economy. So I don't think most normal human beings would say, well, on an inflation-adjusted basis, my wages are keeping up with the prices of eggs.
But if they watch CBS News 24/7, maybe they would.
Yeah, but the problem really is that our experience in the economy has actually not translated into changing behavior that much. That's what I find interesting. We say for the last 3 years, I hate inflation, these prices stink, and yet there are enough people who have a job, or maybe they have a fixed-rate mortgage, or maybe they actually are invested in the stock market. There are enough people who are spending freely in the economy that are clearly compensating for those people who are under pressure because of high interest rates.
Jill Schlesinger, we're 2 for 2 so far in getting this news as we've been tossing to you. So let's make it 3 next time. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Let's turn now to CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi at the White House. Olivia, we know that the president has been wanting the Fed to cut rates. We also know that the Fed operates independently of the president. Is the White House responding yet?
No response yet from the White House, Lindsay, but this is likely to be a disappointment for President Trump. He had previously said that he would like to see some rate cuts. Now, as Jill was saying, he wants to change some consumer behavior. He wants to see people going back out into the economy, spending that money. And so by doing that with a rate cut, he's hopeful that that would be the translation. But we're not seeing a rate cut happen this time around. Again, likely to be a disappointment for Trump. It's something he said he wanted, he's looking forward to. So we'll be watching for any reaction here from the White House on that.